I get it. I get it. I am dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with. I am having literally a mindset adjustment. I am homeschooling. I am cooking more than ever. I have been home a very long time. Yeah, a lot more than I'm used to. I am having to make a lot of runs to the grocery store. I've never shopped this much in my life. I'm doing all of the new norms since the pandemic began, and I can completely understand it. But one thing that I just wanted to bring to your attention, maybe you're going through this, and maybe you know somebody who's going through this. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I know this is usually not like the best time to talk about this. We're about to enter into the holidays, and here we are discussing how morbid it really is, right? And so Q4 has started, and so as someone who does business, I look at the quarters and I try to make sure, did we hit our numbers? And of course, I have to make some adjustments because of an unexpected pandemic. But one thing that I have had the ability to observe during this time, or has been really for me, like really overwhelming, is the amount of people who are mourning over what was, mourning over how 2019 was such a good year, or how 2019 was a year of predictability, or whatever it was, and not seeing the opportunity that this master reset around the world has given many of us, not seeing the opportunity in it. And at first, I'm not going to lie, I'm human, and I missed it in the beginning. At first, when March began and I got every notice that hit my inbox, from schools closing to you can't travel to conference closed to this to that to that, it was like back to back for about 4 weeks. It was just like one, like, oh, that hurt. But wait a minute, April came around and I started getting good news. And May came around, I started getting better news. And it started becoming easier and easier. And I just made some adjustments as I needed to. But March was bad, I will admit. March was pretty bad. From the day that I got the notice that, look, this conference is canceled and that engagement is canceled and that is canceled, it just started to feel a little bit overwhelming. But I got over it pretty quickly. But it's amazing how many people are mourning over the things that they think they lost because of COVID. I'm not talking about those of you who've lost a loved one. For those of you who've lost a loved one, my heart is with you. I grieve with you. I grieve for you. My husband has lost family members as a result of this. I'm there. But I'm talking about those of you who are lost with trying to figure out, well, what do I do now? And it's because of the pandemic, and it's because of this, it's because of COVID. So you're blaming COVID for your grief. And your grief as far as wanting to go back to the dysfunction you have become accustomed to. Yeah, that's a hard one. To go back to the dysfunction you had become accustomed to. You were complaining about that job just last year, December. You were complaining about that job. They weren't appreciating you. They couldn't stand you. They weren't paying you well. It's cut. I understand. It was devastating in the beginning. But there's some new opportunity out there. You were complaining about the book you didn't have the time to write. You're home now. What's the problem? Start writing. You were complaining about the podcast you needed to start. You didn't have anybody to really talk to. People are home. Start calling them. You were complaining about the business you wanted to start. You got time. I was even talking to someone the other day and telling them about, I am in the middle of considering, just having some exploratory conversations with a few teachers who are starting these incubators for parents to be able to take their kids out of traditional school to put them in these incubators. God spare, we are forced legislatively to put our kids back in school before there is a cure or a vaccination. And these teachers who I've had the ability to meet, I've met about 22 in the last 6 weeks, have been finding ways to be innovative and creative. And I'm going to tell you, they're getting big bags of money in the meantime. About $250 an hour, per hour, to teach kids outside of the regular curriculum in school. So I'm like, wow, if teachers can say, hey, there's a better way. The master reset button has been hit. I have to figure it out, and I have to do it a different way. If they can figure it out and say $20 an hour as a teacher is no longer good enough for me, I'm going to make $250 an hour. My question to you is, what's stopping you? Oh, I know what's stopping you. You've normalized your dysfunction so much so that you can't live without living without. And for me, that is a no-no. So if you really are looking at COVID from not necessarily just the health perspective, but from the opportunity perspective, there are a lot of new opportunities in the market. Many people are looking at the obstacle. And those of you who are looking at the obstacle will never have time to see the opportunity. Meanwhile, there are people out here who are looking at the opportunity. I'm one of them. And I'm looking at things in a different way. And I'm practicing things in a different way. And I'm going after opportunities in a different way. I really wish I could share what's going on with me right now. I really wish I can be more explicit about it. But when you are birthing a dream, and I'm not giving birth. Please don't even think that is not happening. When you are birthing a big dream, you've got to birth it in silence, because you don't need everybody kind of putting their own nonsense all over it. But something huge is coming at the end of 2021, and I'm so excited about it that I have been retreating a little bit from social media, because I am literally babying my dream a little bit, and it's taking a lot more of my time than I thought it would. That's because I've never had an opportunity this big before, and I want to see it all the way to the end. And I would not have gotten it unless I should say, the master reset button was actually hit. Because when I was busy in 2019 and I was just traveling and doing this and doing that, oh darling, I didn't have time for this one. But now that I got it, I'm like, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me. It's amazing. And that's because I'm not mourning over what I've lost. I'm not mourning over dysfunction. I've left that alone a long time ago. And if you would simply see the opportunity in what's going on right now, and find an opportunity and discover an opportunity and create an opportunity, and stop focusing so much of your attention on the obstacle, you too would realize that what you really miss is the dysfunction. You don't miss what you used to have. You miss the dysfunction. You have normalized dysfunction. And now you're almost having like a detachable moment. You're trying to go to rehab, but you don't know how to detox and detach from dysfunction. It's time. Learn that the reset button has already been hit, and it's time for you to detox from that dysfunction. Let it go. Stop grieving over what was. Start accepting and start looking at opportunities for what they are. It's an opportunity for you to do something new. Like I told you, if I'm watching teachers making high 6 figures, almost 7, what's stopping you? Tell me. Dysfunction. You normalized it. Let it go. Detox time.